We're going deep on a topic that affects anyone who's ever gotten behind the wheel. The sneaky ways your car's data is being used to raise your insurance rates. You think you're just driving to work, but your car's practically writing a novel about your driving habits, and insurance companies are reading every page. Buckle up, because we're about to expose the hidden world of data-driven insurance and how you can fight back. Let's get into it. You know those safe driver programs that promise to lower your insurance rates if you drive responsibly? They sound like a dream come true for anyone who prides themselves on being a cautious driver. Sounds great in theory, right? The idea of being rewarded for good behavior is always appealing, like, who wouldn't want to be rewarded for being a good driver? It's like getting a gold star for adulting. But here's the catch. These programs often rely on telematics devices or smartphone apps. These devices and apps are designed to monitor your driving habits closely. These little digital spies track everything from how hard you brake to how fast you accelerate, even when you drive late at night. They are constantly collecting data on your driving behavior. They're basically judging your every move behind the wheel. Every turn, every stop, every acceleration is being scrutinized. Imagine this: you're running late for work, stuck in traffic, and you slam on the brakes to avoid hitting the car in front of you. It's a common scenario, right? Boom! Your insurance app just recorded that as hard braking, and suddenly, you're a risky driver in their eyes. One moment of quick reflexes and your safe driver status is compromised. Or maybe you're a night owl, prefer to drive when the roads are clear. You think you're being safer by avoiding daytime traffic. Well, guess what? Driving late at night can also count against you, even if you're being perfectly safe. The system doesn't account for your personal circumstances. These programs claim to promote safer driving, but they often feel like a way for insurance companies to gather more data on you, data they can then use to justify higher premiums. It's a double-edged sword. It's like they're holding your good driving hostage in exchange for constant surveillance. The promise of lower rates comes with the price of your privacy. And the worst part? You might not even realize how much data they're collecting or how it's being used against you. The fine print often hides the extent of their surveillance. These programs can make you feel like you're constantly being watched, and that can be stressful. The pressure to always drive perfectly can take the joy out of driving. So, before you sign up for one of these safe driver programs, think about what you're giving up. Is the potential discount worth the invasion of your privacy? It's a personal decision that requires careful consideration. Remember, while saving money is great, your peace of mind and privacy are priceless. Make sure you know what you're agreeing to before you let these digital spies into your car. Remember when GPS was just a novelty, a way to find the nearest coffee shop? Well, those days are long gone. Today, GPS technology has evolved far beyond simple navigation. It's now an integral part of our daily lives, embedded in our cars, phones, and even our watches. Now, your car's GPS data is a goldmine for insurance companies, revealing not just where you go, but how often you go there, and the routes you take. This data provides a comprehensive picture of your driving habits. What time of day you travel can indicate whether you're more likely to be driving during high-risk periods like rush hour or late at night. This information is crucial for insurers assessing your risk profile, and even how long you stay at each location can be tracked. Frequent short trips might suggest a different risk level compared to long, infrequent journeys. It's like they're building a detailed map of your life, one GPS coordinate at a time. This map can reveal patterns about your lifestyle, work habits, and even your social activities. And here's the kicker. If you live in an area with higher crime rates or more accidents, your insurance premiums could skyrocket, regardless of your personal driving history. Even if you have a spotless driving record, the data collected from your GPS can still work against you. It's like being judged not just for how you drive, but where you drive and park. It's like being punished for where you live, as if your zip code determines your driving skills. This can feel incredibly unfair, especially for those who have no control over their living situation. Even something as simple as parking on the street overnight can be held against you. Insurers see this as a higher risk for potential incidents. Insurance companies see street parking as a higher risk for theft or vandalism. So guess what? Your premiums might increase just because you don't have a private garage. They might charge you more for the privilege of not having a garage. This can add up to significant costs over time, making it feel like you're constantly being penalized. It's enough to make you want to become a hermit and never leave your house. But in reality, it's a reminder of how much our modern lives are being monitored and evaluated. often in ways we don't even realize. Chapter 3. Remember when driving was about freedom, about hitting the open road and exploring new places? Well, insurance companies are trying to put a stop to that with mileage-based insurance programs. The logic is simple. The more you drive, the more likely you are to get into an accident. So they track your mileage using telematics devices, smartphone apps, or even your car's built-in odometer. Some programs might offer discounts for low-mileage drivers, which sounds appealing until you realize they're essentially penalizing anyone who actually uses their car regularly. Need to commute to work? Visit family in another state? Get ready to pay a premium for those extra miles? And the worst part? Some insurers aren't exactly transparent about how they calculate these mileage surcharges. You might think you're getting a good deal, only to be hit with a hefty bill later on, with no clear explanation of how they arrived at that number. It's like they're speaking a different language, one where transparency and fairness get lost in translation. Chapter 4. Think you can avoid all this data tracking by skipping the telematics devices and smartphone apps? Think again. Modern cars, especially those fancy new models with all the bells and whistles, are practically computers on wheels. They come equipped with a dazzling array of sensors, cameras, and onboard computers that collect a treasure trove of data about your driving habits. We're talking about everything from how hard you accelerate and brake to how sharply you turn, and even whether you're wearing your seatbelt. These cars are like digital tattletales, constantly recording your every move and storing it away for a rainy day. And you know who loves rainy days? Insurance companies. They can request access to this data after an accident, using it to dispute your claims, determine fault, or even raise your rates based on what they find. Suddenly, that fender bender you had last month becomes evidence of your aggressive driving habits, all thanks to the silent witness riding shotgun in your own car. Chapter 5. Ever wonder how insurance companies seem to know so much about your driving history, even if you've never filed a claim with them? It's almost as if they have a secret window into your driving habits, your routes, and even your speed. This isn't just a coincidence or a lucky guess. Enter the shadowy world of data brokers, companies that specialize in collecting, analyzing, and selling consumer data. These companies operate behind the scenes, gathering vast amounts of information about you and millions of other drivers. And yes, that includes your driving data. Every time you get behind the wheel, your actions are being monitored and recorded. From the moment you start your car to the time you park it, data is being collected. These companies gather information from a variety of sources, including public records, telematics devices, and even those safe driver programs we talked about earlier. They leave no stone unturned in their quest to compile the most comprehensive profiles possible. They then package this data into neat little reports that insurance companies can purchase to get a detailed picture of your driving habits. These reports are incredibly detailed, often containing information you wouldn't expect. Think of it like a credit score, but for driving. Just as your financial behavior is distilled into a single number that lenders use to judge your creditworthiness, your driving behavior is boiled down to a risk score. They assign you a risk score based on your data, and this score can have a real impact on your insurance premiums. A higher risk score could mean higher premiums, while a lower score might save you money. The problem is these scores are often shrouded in secrecy. You might not even know they exist, let alone how they're calculated or what factors are being considered. This lack of transparency can be frustrating and unsettling. You might not even know they exist, let alone how they're calculated or what factors are being considered. It's a system that operates in the shadows, leaving drivers in the dark about how their data is being used. It's like being judged by a secret court with no right to see the evidence or defend yourself. This lack of transparency and accountability raises serious questions about privacy and fairness in the digital age. So, what can you do to protect yourself from this data-driven insurance dystopia? First, opt out of usage-based insurance programs if possible. Those discounts might seem tempting, but they come at a high cost: your privacy. Disable location and data sharing in your car's settings. It might take a bit of digging through menus, but it's worth it to limit the amount of data your car is broadcasting to the world. Consider using a Faraday bag for your key fob to prevent tracking. These bags block radio signals, preventing your car from being remotely accessed or tracked. Check your LexisNexis report and correct any errors. You have the right to see what data they're collecting about you and to dispute any inaccuracies. And finally, fight back by asking insurers what data they're using to determine your rates and demanding transparency. The more we push back against these invasive practices, the more likely we are to see a change in the industry. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more eye-opening content.